Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Capricorn energy. Last week I had a problem with an Aquarius and Leo energy I was doing, and now this week I'm having a problem with the Capricorn and Cancer. Aquarius and Leo are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. Cancer and Capricorn are on opposite sides, and I think we, struggle within ourselves to maintain balance, some more so than others, between, all these opposite zodiac sign forces within us and just our dualistic nature at large that we have. And so we're having to redo it. So we're going to see how people are harnessing their Capricorn energy. And again, the earth signs are kind of on the opposite side of the zodiac wheel of the water signs, and it is trying to get balance between the two so that either our more worldly nature doesn't manipulate us more, our loving nature doesn't more manipulate us, and it's about trying to find a balance. That, I want the most of the things of the world that I can be motivated and inspired by, but I also don't want to sacrifice truth and love and being more authentically myself in order to have those things of the world. Because with free will and having to make decisions, there's always a price to be paid. It's just sometimes we don't realize that there's going to be a price to be paid, and we don't realize sometimes and appreciate what we could have sacrificed for choosing one or the other, right? Okay, so I view this as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Hermit Virgo card about people are going to harness their Capricorn energy right now based on what their truth is. Generally, probably a lot of people in the world try to present themselves as being harnessing high vibe Capricorn, meaning I'm not selfish, greedy, prideful, egotistical, immature, more about myself. I have freed myself. Up here we have the devil. High vibe Virgo is going within to deal with the truth. I shouldn't be selfish, greedy, prideful, egotistical, more about myself, calling judgment on myself. And then the King of Pentacles, I view it as high vibe Capricorn. I have learned lessons in life. It's not just not to act that way because people will call judgment on me. It's to really see the truth why I shouldn't be that way. You grow up and mature yourself, and you'd be horrified if you saw yourself acting or behaving in certain ways, right? We've all been younger, we've all been more immature, we've all been more fearful or codependent or lustful or greedy. Let's hope we're more balanced, right? But some people did learn those lessons. They went within, they saw the truth, why that is selfish and bossy and immature and all about me or self-indulgent, and some people are who they say they are. They really have learned those lessons. Other people thought, oh, I thought we were just supposed to hide the truth about who we are so that people would like us and want to be in a relationship with us. And that's what some people are doing right now. I don't show shadowy hermit can be I hide the truth. I hide the truth that I really am shadowy. And some people thought that's what everybody did. But that's not what everybody else did. Other people did the work to grow and heal and mature themselves. And other people are just kind of wearing a mask that they, trying to present themselves as more stable and grounded and balanced and loving and mature. And they could look that way by worldly standards, by what they wear, what they dress like, kind of job, power, social clout, whatever. But it's all kind of superficial. I mean, they might have those things, but kind of character, integrity, love, justice, fairness, balance, no. They're much more out for their own self-interest and out for themselves and how it benefits them. And because of that, it's kind of like the devil versus God, right? God wanting people to love and believe in themselves isn't necessarily trying to, well, God isn't trying to manipulate and control people. God gives people free will. But the devil tries to tempt people with all these things of the world. God knows we're tempted by all these things of the world. And we have the free will choice to love our more immature worldly nature, to grow and mature it, or we can choose not to. And if we want to keep indulging our more immature nature, we can. It's just some people think there'll be no consequences, but there are. Because the people who did learn to love themselves and grow up and mature themselves and hold themselves accountable to a higher standard of behavior, those people call judgment on the more shadowy people. And yes, the more shadowy people can get mad. And what do you do when you're mad and you operate more? High vibe people have learned the truth. I should temper my ego nature. I should see where I need to heal and grow and mature myself. Both the Four of Wands and the Three of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. I need to hold myself accountable. That is embarrassing, for me to act like that. I need to grow up. I need to mature myself. I need to work through my fears, my insecurities, my past pain and heartbreak, my bossy, controlling, egotistical, immature, want reward without effort nature. And high vibe people realized love is the answer. And they offered love to themselves and their more immature worldly nature. From the Four of Wands down to the Three of Wands, quit being more inspired by their more immature worldly nature or codependent nature or fearful or insecure nature. And instead, I don't want to keep investing in that foundation. I've seen the truth that it should be about love. So if I'm going to quit being inspired more by this, I need to do this inner work. And I need, the Page of Pentacles can mean to be a student of life. It's not all about me. It's not all about these things of the world. Why do I let the things of the world define my worth and value? Why don't I know my worth and value? Why don't I love myself? Because shadowy energy can be, I look outside myself for the answer. I look to other people to love me. I look to other people to validate my worth and value. Why don't I validate my worth and value? Why don't I love myself? Be a good parent to myself. Because I'm probably not a child anymore, right? And that can be like codependent energy, where we like to be in more codependent relationships, where we want to be in relationships with other people who haven't learned to love themselves. And then, I think we all go through stages of life like that, maybe even for the first 30, 40 years of our life. Because we grew up in families where people, hopefully, were the people who were loving and encouraging to us. And we hopefully had some friends and family that were loving and encouraging. And we just really haven't learned to take over that role within ourselves. And sometimes we can be very harsh and critical and condemning of ourselves. And we've all made mistakes, right? Well, are we too prideful to learn mistakes? Or are we like, yep, I shouldn't do that again. Yeah, that drove my life off into the ditch. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. That kind of dragged my life down into hell. Are we willing to say, okay, I'm a fallible human being who has some lessons to learn, and I accept that I have some lessons to learn, and I need to offer love to myself, and then I need to see the truth about things I should no longer invest in, because that takes me down the wrong path and drags me into hell. And so just like I can do things within myself and indulge myself in things that I think will be the answer, I've learned that those things aren't the answer. But again, some people have learned those lessons and some other people have yet to learn those lessons. And sometimes, we need to be dragged down into hell a bit, kind of like driving our life off into the ditch, to realize that maybe we didn't know everything. Because human beings with free will, we can think we're very smart. And sometimes we think, won't everything work out the way I want it to? Either I'm a loving, giving, nurturing, supportive person. Isn't everybody motivated by love? Isn't that everyone's truth? And we could go get in relationships with people who might not be very loving, very nurturing, very inspired, out of their ego, willing to be a student of life, might have some issues that kind of really manipulate them, whatever they could be. And we just think, oh no, everybody's motivated and inspired by love. We need to realize the truth. Everybody's got free will. And some people decided I may be okay being more tipped out of balance than getting more balance within myself. I'm okay being more about me, or more about the world, or more about indulgence, or me being indulged, or indulging someone else for those things of the world, or all the ego and the image. That is what the world says we should make our life about. I don't think there's any other higher truth or justice to aspire to. I don't think I need to learn to love myself. I might think that's someone else's job. And maybe if I have these things of the world, maybe there's people that will indulge me in a relationship for those things. They have to temper their ego, not me. And we'll go get in friendships or relationships, or we grow up with some of those people. And some people realize that your truth is different than my truth. And just like some people in your life you could find immature, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, self-centered, whatever. Some of the people that you feel that way about, obviously, probably have people in their life they feel that way about, And those people in turn have people in their life that they could think are more immature, or bossy, or controlling, or prideful, or egotistical. It's kind of relative. The difference is, and you could look at it as going through like different stages of life, even though everybody could be the same age, for example. Some people might have the emotional maturity level still of like a 15-year-old, but they're 35, right? Other people in the group might have a maturity level more like an 18-year-old, others more like a 21-year-old, others more like a 25-year-old, others like a 28-year-old. And if everybody in the group or the community or the workplace is 30, some people really are more the emotional maturity of someone who learned all these lessons along the way that is kind of more mature than all the rest of them. And then they in relationship, it can be kind of pointing our finger at other people. Well, I'm more mature than them, or I'm not, that's not how we want to build our sense of empowerment. And some people do that too, but that's a false sense of empowerment. Kind of like in order to feel a sense of empowerment, you might purposely hang out with people, or you might insult or hurt other people to make them seem less than so that you can seem more than. And so high vibe energy is just accepting the truth. Just like when we were more immature and whatever, we didn't want people who are older than us or more mature than us, to necessarily belittle and berate us, Hopefully, we can all treat people with compassion and understanding, but we also at the same time might not want to hang out with them that much, because high vibe people want more people to heal. And I'm not building my sense of worth and value or empowerment over me in comparison to you. I want everyone to heal and grow and mature themselves and love and believe in themselves and get out of, the fear or the whatever that makes them act in kind of shadowy ways. But though I can treat other people the way I like to be treated, doesn't mean I want to maybe spend more time with them, right? And then there can be other people who could view it the other way, Possibly, if some people decided to harness us in a shadowy way, I am more about me, I am more about the world, and if I have more status, image, power, social clout, money, or more attractive, or smarter, or more education, whatever it could be, I am better than you. you know? And they'll probably keep moving forward, and we would refer to that as probably somebody that we think is kind of immature and kind of full of themselves. And we might feel like they've got some lessons to learn about maybe being able to work together with other people in a more encouraging, just, fair, loving way, and maybe people who are never willing to be a student of life. How could you don't have these things that I have. How could you possibly have anything to teach me? Well, in comparison to some people who might be kind of full of themselves based on status, ego, image, social clout, whatever. And some people, a narcissist doesn't have to have anything that anybody could value, but they still think they're God's gift, right? Male or female. Other people are like, well, you could have some lessons to learn about willing to be a student of life and getting out of your ego and being willing to emotionally work together with people more cooperatively, and could benefit from having some self-awareness about some things you apparently don't want to see the truth of. The hermit in shadows about hiding the truth, and shadowy energy is I don't want to see the truth. Or, some people are just caught up in the world and themselves or things they indulge in and making their life all about these things of the world because they're sure those are the most important things and could be kind of willing to do anything to have them. And if other people have what they want, they think it's just and fair to indulge those people to get it. And they in turn think people should indulge them if they think they have more of those things of the world than someone else. Because those things of the world is what they view as being most important. And people who are more inspired to look at life as an adventure to be lived, which is about learning lessons, both High Vibe Virgo and High Vibe Page of Pentacles and King of Pentacles, is about, I have lots of things I have to learn. I have layers and layers of my shadowy nature. There was things I didn't know, and I thought I knew it all at 15, at 18, at 21, at 25. And as I keep living my life, I keep shedding old layers of myself and my more immature ways of viewing life, viewing myself, what I think is possible. I keep learning there's so much more I have yet to learn. And I'm inspired when my intuition and my inner child, hopeful, believing nature kind of says, you know what, we invested in a phase of life, and I've learned to start listening to my intuition. And when my intuition tells me, we've kind of learned everything we needed to learn here, offer the people in your life kind of like love and encouragement, go communicate with them that I love you and I want to move forward. I think, we've kind of done this phase of life, and I think, we could see what were kind of the bad building blocks and what were kind of the good building blocks. And I think we should quit taking action towards those things that we know are not the good building blocks. Like, those are some of the things we need to see the truth that those things need to be let go of. And there's kind of that Bible verse, something along the line that when I was a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like a child, I maybe reasoned like a child. Don't remember it exactly. And then when I grew up, I put away my more childish ways of being, and we've done that with some people in our life. Some people in our life, we grew up in a family with them. Parents accept that children, can be quite demanding and very codependent, but hopefully we love and nurture them and we kind of get them up on their feet to teach them how to spread their own wings and fly, which is kind of how I came up with the title to my channel, I Alone Fly. It's learning to spread your own wings and love and believe in yourself and grow and heal and mature yourself. And, we want them, like if we're raising children, just like our own more immature, selfish nature, we want to offer love and realize we need to offer love and nurturing to ourselves. The whole world can belittle us and berate us and criticize us. We need to be willing to take valid criticism and see where we need to grow and heal and mature. And then we do that because we're motivated in fire sign energy. I don't want to keep repeating past patterns. I am motivated and inspired to want to grow and heal and mature myself. And I don't want to be in more codependent relationships where I'm always looking out in the world for someone to love me or validate my worth and value. Because there's people in the world that like to be in relationships with people in that energy because they're in it too. Or they like I'm the parent and you're the child. I'm the boss and you're the employee, but you're friends or you're in a romantic relationship. It's like, no, you're not my parent. And no, you're not the boss. It's supposed to be about equal give and take. But some people, again, that would be a more balanced relationship. And some people are tipped out of balance, more aligned with being about themselves or the things of the world, or they just have this philosophy of life that they think is just and fair. And the devil card looks just like the lover's card, except in the devil card, they have chains and shackles on them. You are not free to be more independent, to be independent of me. And it might supposed to be more about me. And you're not supposed to maybe love and believe in yourself and believe in your dreams. And you're supposed to be more codependent. Instead of believing in yourself and believing in your dreams, you're supposed to make your life more about me. And women can feel that way in relationships they're in, friendship or otherwise. And men can feel that way in friendships or relationships or workplaces, It's not about treating other people and respecting other people as their own individual with their own dreams and aspirations and unique talent, skills, and interests. Get out of your competitive energy. Be loving and encouraging and supportive. Get out of your ego and let's see where this can go. Whether it's a coworker, it's like, wow, you're really great at that. And we should nurture and support that. Is that my thing? No, but that's your thing. And other people kind of don't like that because, shadowy energy can be, I kind of want the spotlight more on me and I want it more about me. And I might not like to help other people, the people at work that freely share things with you and things so you don't have to recreate the wheel. It's like, oh, I've already worked here this long. Here's a cheat sheet I made for myself that, you won't have to recreate it because I've already created it. And if you want to use it, you can use it if you find it benefits you. And then the other people that barely want, the simplest things, like later when you find out, it's like, oh my gosh, they made it seem like that was so ultra secret and only certain people could know. And it's absolutely nothing, But again, these this way that some people like to feel powerful. Some people, it's about the money, image, and status is what they think makes them powerful. Thing is, those things can be taken away in a flash. And the people who made their whole life about those things, it can be really devastating for them. And other people who, that was something. Am I sad? Am I depressed? Maybe, but I didn't define my worth and value. That's kind of Virgo energy. I didn't make that the definition of my work and value. Was it a part and did I like it? Yes. But I'm a creative, inspired person. It's not about me. I'm not the boss. And some people think, again, we've read a lot of newspaper articles over the last couple of years of some people who are rich and powerful and feel like they can indulge emotionally their more immature nature and people will keep indulging them, and that they can keep hiding the truth and hide from being held accountable for their actions because of the person they are, the status, the image, whatever. Thing is, eventually the truth comes out, and what was hidden is revealed. It's like some people have no guilt, shame, remorse until the truth comes out. Other people would have never done it because of character and integrity, but, Anyway, we have a card here not showing itself. The Seven of Wands. So, sometimes when we're in friendships or relationships with people, we can get in those friendships and relationships with people. The devil can just talk about we're attracted to someone. It could also represent the workplace. The King of Pentacles could represent that we think we view people, male or female, us in relationship to them to us. We could view them as someone who looks very, like the type of person people would want to be friends with, hire, go into business with, marry, right? But with some of the people in our life, in our family, people we have dated, people we wanted to marry, people we could have married, people we are married to, depending on where people are at in this story. We can move forward with people, and and some people are doing it right now. The Four of Wands can be talking about coming together with people. Hopefully in joy and celebration, and hopefully if people do come together in something, going into business, being hired for a job, starting to date, getting married, whatever. We'd hope that people are coming together motivated and inspired by love, or having hope and faith and the belief in the future, like, come work here and we'll be loving and encouraging and supportive of you, and we take the job hoping that they will. And same way kind of in friendships and relationships, like, oh, we seem to enjoy some of the same things, and we're excited about this new beginning. It's just that some of the people were kind of like, no, I'm good. Like, we've done that. You started the job here. We're dated, or we're getting married, or whatever. And then, yep, let's do this. And they're hiding the truth that, well, no, this was like the end goal. That's it. But the other person could be, well, I thought this was a step in the phase of the adventure, because the Knight of Wands is about going on this adventure. And the other person's like, well, shadowy energy is about creating an illusion. High vibe energy is being truthful and authentic. You really are who you say you are. Not just creating an illusion about who you are and what your plans are, what your thoughts are. And some people are like, well, no, it's kind of to create the illusion we're going to do that, but we really do this over and over and over and over. And we never really do that. It never goes to the next phase. And that's when people realize that in their Capricorn and their Leo energy, they harness them differently. Some of the people that we deal with are more defensive. For one, they could be defensive of stepping out of their comfort zone. To come out with the Page of Pentacles, you'd have to let go of the Ten of Pentacles. And that can be unbudging. That's also Virgo energy, but they harness their Virgo energy differently. Well, no, I have this way of living life and viewing life, and in order to move forward in life differently, again, I'd have to call judgment on some things and let some of those things go in order to invest in a new way. And I'm defensive, and they might be defensive to the truth of even wanting to see this truth within themselves. When we're going to go on a new adventure with someone, those people do have their own dreams and aspirations. And their idea of how they thought things were going to move forward, and how this dream, the Three of Wands talks about how this dream is going to come into reality. And the other people had theirs. And when we're going to work together with other people, we should call judgment on it being more about ourselves, and that we are willing to emotionally invest in this new beginning, willing to be a student of life, to come together with others. It's no longer just more about me and my wants and my needs and my lust and my greed, or, if I'm going to work with other people, you have your truth, I have my truth. You have your dreams and aspirations and how you thought it was going to go. I have mine. That would be like the Two of Pentacles in Capricorn. And then it's kind of this common truth is like the third pentacle of the foundation. And the Three of Pentacles in Capricorn talks about working together cooperatively. You have yours, I have mine, and then this common truth. But that's when we find out our truth is different. Yours is more about being a little bit more about you. And of course, you probably think that's just and fair. But the other person, hopefully if it's more mismatched, one person is more willing to work cooperatively with people, and in those cases with people, we do keep moving forward. It's just that with some of the people, we don't keep moving forward with them eventually. I mean, we might keep defending it for a while because we're kind of defensive of going on a new adventure. Because if we get in a job, a friendship, a relationship, we would like it to work. We don't want to call judgment on it. We were drawn and attracted to people. We invested in them. We decided to take that job, invest in the friendship or the relationship. We've been working together with them, trying to bring this dream into reality. And for a long time, we might know there's this difference, but we don't really know what it is. And so it can be also a part of us not wanting. In high vibe, holding the one pentacle, just like in the King of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, is truth and love is to be just and fair. And some people know that, and some people don't, right? And somewhere all the other different kind of lessons, about working more cooperatively with people, freeing yourself from things that manipulate you and control you. And we've all freed ourselves from some different things that could manipulate and control us, Some of the things that might be fears or temptations in my life could be different than fears or temptations or insecurities in someone else's life, right? But we'd have to be willing to invest in the truth. And hopefully from love, and that eventually we could come to see that. And some people are in these, and we can be in friendships or relationships or work somewhere for a long time, and there's a lot of things to work out in a relationship. To come out with the one sword, we'd have to work through the Ten of Swords. There's a lot of different things to work out in a friendship or relationship in a workplace, right? Well, how do we get along with this, and how about that, and are you learning this, how about you, blah, and do we like these things, blah, blah, There's a lot of different stages we can go through in a relationship, right? But during the course of any situation, it can get to be where someone kind of feels like, they're ready to go to the next phase. And if that's to, we've gotten to know each other well enough as friends that, yeah, we do, we think we've kind of learned everything about each other. And you kind of think the relationship, you're going to keep being friends. Or maybe you kind of knew each other at work, did little things if it's just a friendship, like, and then it's like, oh, you want to go do this on the weekend. And that's when the other person's like, you could kind of realize, oh, no, they just kind of want to keep it here. It's like, oh, bummer. I thought, we could go do this on the weekend if you were busy. And, even if it's not anybody you want to date, like a girlfriend to a girlfriend in a way. And then we kind of realize, oh, I guess I was kind of thinking that we could, it's kind of like stepping out of your comfort zone and taking it more outside of that situation, to manifest it outside of that situation also, to kind of have it in more than one place in a way, bigger. And same way with dating someone. Somebody thinks, well, we've kind of gotten to know each other well enough. Are we ready to, I don't know, something about taking it more to the next stage of a relationship. And that's when, someone seems to be defensive. And some people, they might, instead of investing in the truth, they might, the more someone probably was indulging in it, the less they would probably want to tell the truth if it was like a romantic relationship. And they just might do things to kind of convey the message. And then the other person, could be upset because they feel like somebody really deserved to communicate with them more the truth, and feel like maybe they didn't, because the Seven of Wands being Leo energy, also represented by the Sun, we would hope that people were willing to more illuminate why they made some of the decisions they made, right? And some people won't. Sometimes you can move forward in a relationship and it is more mismatched. Again, more hopeful, believing, loving people could have seen that someone maybe wasn't as open to being more inspired by love, and they could have known they were a little bit more fearful of love, it would be the devil, or more kind of caught up in the world, and those are the more important things, and might even hide their more loving nature, but you could think, oh no, over time they'll change, and I'm sure everybody's motivated by love, aren't they? And it can be hard to accept that truth, that in a world of duality and free will, that some people don't want to do love, really don't want to do love. In their Leo energy of their self-protective nature, you are like the devil. That puts me in the danger zone. And I view, the devil can be like the opposition. So you could view people who are much more selfish or greedy or whatever as like aligned with the competition, but other people can view you because you tempt them to love and believe in themselves and get out of their more self-protective defensive nature, where they kind of indulge their more immature nature and just indulge themselves in relationships. You tempt them to align with truth and love. And, again, you'd kind of like to think that maybe when people were young, that, well, I don't know that I'm ready to get in a more serious relationship. I might want to focus more on college and career if they're doing that, or just that takes a lot of my time. I'm not ready to be in a more serious relationship because this is a priority of my life right now. We'd also hope when people are younger that they might be a little more immature and, like, nope, I'm not ready to get no more formal commitment. I have all these things I think I want to go indulge in the world that I think is like living the dream. And, while they do that, some other people move forward and get in different relationships. And some of the people who either put too much emphasis and weren't able to find balance in their life and in their relationship. And of course, sometimes people can have a job, or, there's a lot of people who get married and they're in college and they have really demanding careers, and they can make it work. They just might want to hold off for some of them, and some of them have no choice. They've already got some children, but, it can be done. But, again, we kind of have to decide, now, there's always a trade-off, and some of the people who could have said and are still saying, nope, I don't want to get no more formal commitment, ever. Well, they see other people move forward because that's their dream. Even though some of those people wish this relationship could have worked out, I am going to go invest in people who are willing to work together with me because I might want to get married and have children. Well, some of the people, I don't know. Maybe some of them could have thought, well, I'm willing to be in a relationship with you and have children with you, but I'm just not willing to get in a more formal commitment. Well, if some people are like, but I want a more formal commitment if I'm going to have children with people. Well, then those people probably move forward because that's part of, things that they want to invest in. And some people got in relationships with people and they kind of manifested that. But then, even with those relationships, some of those people were like, well, yeah, I'm willing to be in a relationship with you, and I might want to be in a long term relationship, and I might want to have children, but I kind of thought that was what we were going to do. I didn't think, you know, kind of conforming more to the world and making our life about that and being inspired by that. And again, it's just kind of a more motivated and inspired more by the world. And other people could be like, well, that was a stage of it and a phase of it. But then, we keep moving forward and go on this adventure together. And there too, over time, it becomes a more deep, meaningful relationship. And again, there's a lot of things. And when you get married or you have kids, there's so many things that you're kind of focusing your attention on and trying to maintain some balance within. And again, we might have known some people are a little bit more about the world and could have other things and people and stuff and that they're kind of more codependent on. And some people never thought that anything was ever going to change. Like, I thought we were just going to do this like forever and I'm okay with that. And other people are like, well, again, it's like part of the phase. Like, we were 21 going to 25, but I didn't plan to stay like a 25-year-old forever. And some people thought, well, once I get to a certain age and I have a job and I get in a relationship and I get married and maybe have some kids, that's it. I'm done. That is my comfort zone. And I am not inspired to kind of in high vibe fire sign energy to ever step out of my comfort zone of maybe being more inspired to look at life as an adventure and have some more hope and faith and belief in myself that there is another phase, and maybe becoming more independent of an old phase or things I used to do or people I used to invest in and just be more independent in the world. High vibe Leo is kind of like shining your authentic light in the world. Work through some of these things of the world that manipulate you or your more worldly or immature nature. This viewpoint of relationships that, again, that it could maybe be more about you and more about these reasons. It's like, I thought it was supposed to be about, we together keep giving birth to new things. So, and some people are like, but I'm good and I don't want to give birth to anything new. And, so then there can be a problem in a relationship because one person's more defensive to, at every one of these stages of life, there's kind of an old way of being, an old way of viewing life, an old way of viewing relationships, an old way of viewing things that we kind of viewed as just and fair. And then it can be hard to be a little resistant or a lot resistant to change. And if people had a certain way of thinking life was going to go, and that was the way, maybe from the time they were a child, that this is the way I view life, this is the way I view relationships, this is what I want to do with my life, and now you want to do something different. And sometimes it's just as simple as that, not able to work through something. But sometimes some people, it kind of does illuminate the truth that was being hidden, that they do, you can get to that point where, do we really respect each other as their own individuals with their own dreams? And that, because sometimes some people kind of sacrifice their dreams to help other people with their dream and get established and going. And then when the opportunity, that kind of phase is done, and then you have an opportunity to invest in some of the things that you would like to do, well, then people have a problem with that, because they liked it when you just did it the way you did it, and it was more this way, or it was more about them. And it's like, well, what about the things that interest me and that I maybe didn't even know I would be interested in? Sometimes you go through life and you do something like, I know I really kind of got into landscaping and all that kind of stuff. That was like, wow, who knew? But I kind of thought, I would have never thought when I was younger, would I have any interest in doing that? But it was nice to be outside. It was nice to see the accomplishment, like doing the edging and doing the stuff and the rock and all that, and learning all about plants. It's like, who knew? And then same way with doing things in the house. It's like, I would have never thought I would have any interest in interior decorating. But you learn about color schemes, all this stuff, and probably watching all those shows on TV too. It kind of gets your creative juices going, that you maybe didn't even view yourself as having a creative or artistic kind of bone in your body, in a way. And that was not your truth either, but we all don't stay the same. And some people stay more the same, and some people already knew what they wanted to do. Some people already kind of had their life path, and you didn't, maybe, so it was still just going through life kind of, and again, we come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. So there can be a problem, and some people could be going through it right now. Some people already realized there was a problem and kind of sorted through all that. And some people, everybody in the devil card can talk about that, I suppose, in a way that they're angry, right? And everybody can feel like, well, I don't know why you don't view life like me. And well, I don't know why you don't view life like me. But it can be these completely different ways of viewing life. And the high vibe people aren't trying to manipulate or control anyone or have it really be more about them. I just want equal give and take, and to be treated and respected as my own individual. And that I don't like everything you like. You don't like everything I like, needless. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I just have my own things as my own individual that I could like doing. Just like, I suppose some people could say, if a guy really likes to go fishing, well, maybe a partner of his doesn't really like to go fishing, but that could be a real downtime of stress relief and kind of simplicity. And other people could be really like to read, maybe, as a place of downtime and kind of escape. Well, are you going to try to force someone to sit and read a book with you? Is someone going to try to force you to go fishing with them? And again, hoping everybody's their own individual, go do it on their own, or find friends and family that want to do those activities with you. Probably not sitting and reading a book together, but maybe going for a walk, or hiking, or riding a bike, or going to movies, or bowling, whatever it is that people enjoy that is kind of a thing for them, right? And then some people, it's like, I don't care, you're not going, whether you go alone or you bring someone else, or whatever you want to go do. That is kind of out of my comfort zone. I liked it more when you made it more about me. And some people saw the truth of it, and some people got out of it. And they could have each called judgment on each other. I have my truth and how I want to hang out with people who are more like me. You have your truth. You probably want to hang out with people more like you. And everybody could have kind of been upset. I think the people who can offer love to the situation are the people who are able to free themselves from the more negative energy of it and let it go. And I think their judgment isn't being clouded by pride and ego and lust and greed or stubbornness or self-centeredness. The other people, I think, could be more angry because they don't want to see the truth. And they could even be mad that you did kind of see the truth, especially if they did some immature things that were not conducive to a relationship moving forward, and you called judgment on them. And if some of those people are very much, instead of offering truth and love to people, are more about their ego and image, well, that hurts their ego and image. Well, they ultimately have no one to blame but themselves, but of course they don't want to blame themselves, so they can try to shift all the blame on you and be mad at you. But, the high vibe people offer love to the situation to free themselves from it. I don't want to plant my life like in bad soil. And the other people, we kind of realize, do kind of plant themselves in bad soil of self-indulgence, immaturity, fear, insecurity, control, whatever. Or materialism, or whatever it is. Whatever it is that they look to think will make them happy. High vibe people would think, I think you're going to find out that wasn't the right path, but I can't make other people see the truth, so I'm going to invest in my truth. I'm willing to get out of my ego, admit that it's not all about me, and I can't make people change, so I'm going to move forward, get out of my ego, with that card not showing itself, and I'm going to go on this adventure. And that also could be a difference between you and some other people. Again, shadowy people, it can be all about trying to create an illusion about the type of person they are. And they do not want people to know that they are more defensive, that they took some immature action, that they are more about themselves, that they do like more codependent relationships, that they do more like to seem like a god in people's lives and don't really want people to love and believe in themselves, and instead be more codependent on them and make them god in their life. And that they do indulge their more immature egoic nature. And for some people, that is their truth. And of course, they have as hard a time of believing that that's not your truth. Just like you can have as hard of a time of believing that they're kind of as egotistical or shadowy as they are. Because that's not your truth. And it's like, it is like parallel worlds, like someone who is, in a lot of ways, could look like everybody else in the world, but what goes on behind closed doors and in the way they think, logic, and reason is completely different. And some people are all about very defensive, very prideful, very manipulative, and all about creating this illusion about who they are. And some of those people think you're just creating a really good illusion, as you could be moving forward in your life. Some of you have gotten in new relationships or marriages. Some of you have gotten new jobs. Some of you are going on a new adventure. They want to create the illusion that they've healed and grown and matured themselves too. The problem is they haven't. But hoping if they go get in a new job, a new friendship, a new relationship, it'll look like they're not in their ego either. And they're not who they used to be. And they've learned, but they didn't do the inner work. They just learned more how to hide some things about themselves. So we can all probably have worked with some people that were bossy or immature or prideful and difficult to work with. And then we hear that, oh, they went and got a new job. And of course, it's maybe all to post it. And like, oh my gosh, and I just love my coworkers. And whatever, right? And we're just like, yeah, we'll see. And hey, maybe maybe you found the right crowd for you, and maybe it'll work out wonderfully, you know? But if you're not working with people who are more just like you know, they could have bought into the illusion too, but over time, as they're trying to move things forward, they also might see you're kind of defensive and immature and not willing to be a student of life and take instruction well or work together with people cooperatively, and you might be a little full of yourself. And then those people might kind of communicate that, you know, they think they're going to move on and this isn't a good match, and they're going to let you go find a new job, new friend, new relationship. Right? And of course, they won't want to see the truth, and the whole story will start all over again because the truth sets us free. And some people do not want to see the truth because they view themselves like they're like other people in the world because they think they're doing what other people are doing in the world. They just don't get it. That other people really are probably in relationships with people willing to work cooperatively, inspired and motivated by love. And some people, like, they don't really do love. It's kind of to use their emotions and their sexuality and their looks or their charm or their talents or whatever they got to get people to get in a relationship with them. And it's kind of indulging themselves in the relationship. But they don't want to see the truth of, because they just think that's what everyone is doing, and they don't get it that other people are willing to work more cooperatively, aren't so defensive, aren't so prideful, are willing to work with other people, like to work with other people, are inspired to want to work together with other people out of love. And everybody, other people, it's just all a strategy and a game, and they don't get it. So high vibe people are able to get out of their ego about it, offer love and compassion and forgiveness to themselves and others, to accept everybody's where they're at. So learn the lessons they were meant to learn and take that with them and move forward in life. And so everybody could be looking like they're having a new beginning. Everybody could be making offers to different people to try to have a new beginning. Some people could be, you know, the shadowy people are deciding, yep, that's still my truth. It's more about me or more about these things of the world. And if I think there's someone who I could get in a relationship with to bring that dream into reality with, I'm going to create the illusion with that person, whether it's someone I've known in the past or someone I'm meeting, that I'm more inspired by love, but kind of hiding further back that it's really more about just how it benefits me. And sometimes those people aren't listening to their intuition and they're not seeing things clearly. And they'll either try to get in a relationship with someone who they don't realize is really who they say they are. Because they could keep thinking, oh, I can manipulate anyone, or because of these things or whatever traits or characteristics I have, I'm sure they'll get in line and come on over to my side, right? And they don't realize that some of the people they're going to try to befriend or get in a relationship with, those people are tipped more in favor of their hopeful believing nature. They could be willing to get in a relationship with them, to get to know them, but if the shadowy people, if their intuition as time goes by makes them see, oh my God, these people really are more immature or more defensive or more prideful or more driven, by the ego or the image is more what's more important. The other people are willing to get out of the relationship. And some of them have had that happen. Some of them will have it happen. And they don't realize that other people aren't as defensive or ego driven as they are. And they have a hard time understanding it because, like, this makes practical, logical sense. I want to be in a relationship. You want to be in a relationship. I have these certain things that you could want. And some people are like, but that's not the most important thing to me. I mean, I might not go indulge in it for a while, but if the truth is I really am more motivated and inspired by love, that's when shadowy people can be taken advantage of, because people play on their own codependency, their own overconfidence that people will want to, of course, stay in a relationship with them. And some of those people, I don't think high vibe people would take advantage of them. High vibe people would think that they are who they say they are, so they would move forward with them. But eventually, they can become defensive to them when they see the truth, and they'll be willing to get out of it. They could go get, because I think shadowy people ultimately want to be in a relationship with a high vibe person, because they don't want to be in a relationship with someone like themselves. They want to be the only prideful, immature person in the relationship. And they want to have a hopeful, believing person, be defensive, maybe more tempted by these things of the world that this person brings, or just being in a relationship or whatever, that the loving people will indulge them in a relationship in their poor behavior. And people could have gotten in relationships, marriages, and workplaces with people, but eventually the more high vibrational people leave. And other people might have more difficult situations that they would like to leave, but they can't leave. But when the opportunity comes up for them to leave, they're going to leave. And I think ultimately the shadowy people, is that anything to be proud of, to know that you're in a relationship with someone who you're not being truthful and honest with, that you're trying to basically manipulate and control? And they're always hiding, they're defensive, because they're always afraid that other people are going to see through the illusion that they are kind of more using their emotions and their sexuality and living more from their mind than their heart to create an illusion about who they are. But they're actually defensive to really doing love. They try to create the illusion they're loving. And they go on this journey with people. And I think they're always afraid. When they're in a relationship with a more high vibe person, they're so afraid that those people are going to meet someone else more high vibe and leave their ass. But that they just stay up in their defensiveness about it. They don't ever work through their own defensive nature to, why not be a good counterpart to this person, work through my issues so they don't want to leave and I can get out of my defensiveness. That thought doesn't seem to occur to them. And so instead, they're fearful and defensive, and then it also can be jealousy and envy. I get in a relationship with you because I like that you're loving and nurturing and more balanced and less manipulated or selfish or greedy or prideful. But then it bugs me that you are. Because, of course, they think they're probably really smart, having picked to live their life the way they do. So they think they're smarter than the loving people, but yet the loving people aren't defensive and up in their head and up in their ego and their fear and their jealousy and envy like these people. And then it's angry that you're not. And then they can do immature things to try to get you in the energy they're in. And when you won't keep letting them, by maybe being hurtful or bossy or controlling or immature, get you in shadowy energy, that can make them even more mad. So some people harness high vibe Capricorn energy, have called judgment on their more worldly nature and other people in their life who they feel hide from the truth, taking accountability for their actions, growing up and maturing themselves. They see them indulging themselves in their more immature nature, prideful nature, lust, greed, whatever, lazy, whatever it could be. And the high vibe people are investing in loving and believing in themselves. And they're investing their time, energy, and effort into people who they think are more on that page and loving and encouraging. And those people are moving forward and having a new beginning. And I would say the shadowy people are upset because they wanted them to indulge them. And if those people are in a new relationship, and it can always be this competitive thing where maybe even to get in relationships to think that will bother people. And some of the loving people will come back because they think it's like they always try to manipulate people, so they think the other people they were in a relationship with are trying to manipulate them. But the other people were never trying to manipulate them. They offered them truth and love to work together with them. But they still don't see through the illusion and this way of viewing life. So it's like making decisions sometimes to try to get other people that moved away from them or people they could have moved away from to try to get those people to come back and do the relationship the way they want. So some shadowy people could have been in a relationship with some more worldly focused kind of people. And they'd kind of really like to be in a relationship with them because those people have those things of the world that they want. They also could have had more high vibrational people in their life. And they could want those people to come back in their life. Right now, some of them are in a relationship that isn't more one way or the other, but maybe is kind of more like them in a way where it's not, because some people haven't picked a path, well, I do like this, I do like that, but I still have this illusion that maybe it'll all work out. But again, it can always be trying to use other people as pawns in their game of manipulation. And we have to realize, even the devil does, high vibe energy wants to give birth to something new. So that's kind of aligned with that hopeful, believing, loving nature represented by God at the big picture. And we live in a world of duality where these forces battle against each other. And the devil, or in our own shadow nature, doesn't want us to give birth to anything new. And sometimes the devil can't stop the creative, inspired people from not loving and believing in themselves. So what does the devil do? The devil decides to go after people in their life. I might not be able to trap them, but I think I can trap this person. And if I trap this person, the other person might be kind of stuck because I got this person caught in the web. And that's when some of the high vibe people are like, my person's caught in a web. I'm kind of defensive and moving forward. I don't want to leave them behind. And that's when God's like, high vibe energy is being a good leader in the world. They could have friends, family, fear, insecurity, lust, greed, whatever it is that manipulates them. Fear, change, whatever it is. Be a good leader in the world. Lead by example. Because those people who are caught in the web know they have high vibe people in their life who love them. Just like they have things, and it can even be their self-protective, defensive nature, or some friends or family members that don't want them to be more independent, and their ego nature that doesn't want them to be independent of their ego nature. Wish them peace, and then show how people who love themselves won't give up believing in their dreams, that when other people aren't loving and encouraging to work together with them cooperatively to bring that dream into reality, you quit going back and forth. I'd kind of talked about the Three of Pentacles. You have your truth, they have their truth, and then you have the Three of Pentacles. When you see that their truth is different, you let go in the Two of Pentacles of going back and forth. You have your truth, I have my truth. I wish you peace, but I'm going to go invest in my truth. Well, no, I have these things that manipulate me and these people in my life that I don't want to stand up to, and they'll be mad if I go live my more authentic life. It's like, well, then I hope you enjoy your life with them. I'm going to keep moving on, and I'm not going to stay in my ego about it. I'm going to work through it. Might have a lot of anger or whatever to work through, but I'm going to get there. Because I have a dream, and my dream can't come into reality with other people who are not willing to invest in loving themselves and standing up for themselves. And they could have thought, no, I have these things that manipulate me, and I don't think you love yourself enough to stand up for yourself. And you'll be defensive. And because you love me, you in turn will let those things or those people manipulate you. It's like, you misread me. And for a long time, I might have kind of indulged you or them or whatever because I didn't want to leave. But eventually, I don't want to stay stuck in an unhealthy dynamic where people, the devil is about restrictive, limiting, imprisoning, controlling. That's not love. And if you still think that's love and you think your own shadow nature, defensive nature, or the things you indulge in have your best interest at heart, or some of those people in your life who don't want you to be more independent and love and believe in yourself, well, as long as you think those people have your best interest, I hope you enjoy your life. I'm leaving. And I'm going on this new adventure. And I might communicate with some people in my life who I could realize are more on the same page as me. But not out of ego, just because I've seen the truth. And as we were going down the path of life, we got out of some friendships or relationships, because we had our own lessons learned, and then we realized, oh shit. And I'm not so much in my ego that high vibe people are willing to admit when they made mistakes. I had some lessons learned. I was obviously could have been repeating some patterns, wasn't seeing things clearly, was caught up, blah, blah, blah. I'm willing to admit I had some lessons learned. I'm going to go communicate my truth to other people who I think might be more on the same page as me. And then they have their choice to make, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And some of those people will be like, oh yeah, I always thought we could be friends. And yeah, I was bummed when we quit hanging out, or we didn't date, or you quit dating me, or whatever. Some of those people will reconnect with, and some of those people we won't. Either way, the high vibe people don't really operate as much from their ego nature as other people. I accept the truth, and I accept that there are consequences. And if there were some people I didn't invest more time, energy, and effort in because I chose to invest in something else, well, I believe that doesn't mean my dreams can't come into reality. I might be more careful in my decision making moving forward, making better decisions, doing more careful self-reflection and insight before I make some decisions going forward, and really appreciating the loving and encouraging and supportive people in my life, and see how I could be tempted to repeat past patterns, stay in my comfort zone, or because of my fear, or my insecurities, or whatever. Lesson learned. Okay, God, life's all about learning lessons, because that's Sagittarius energy. Let's go on a new journey and learn some lessons, and everybody else can decide what they're doing. And if at some future date any of those people want to communicate with me, I will be willing to communicate with them. But they could definitely stay in the friend zone until I feel comfortable if they're telling me the truth or not. And anybody else I meet as I move forward. I don't want to repeat some of these past patterns. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who wants to be in a relationship to be in a relationship, or be in a relationship to make someone else mad, or to try to manipulate someone else. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone more for the ego or the image or the money or the materialism, and I don't want them to be in a relationship with me for those reasons. And there's some people that don't know yet. No, I no longer view them as someone. In their mind, they might think so, but I don't view them as someone that I would want to move forward with, or someone like it would be a victory worth defending. No. I have seen the truth of them. They might still think I haven't seen the truth of them, but I have. And they just don't know it. And some of those people even, could come try to talk to you and it's like, no, I think we're in a good place. I think we all moved on. And, the relationship that we have right now seems to work. It's like we never see each other. Yeah, that seems to be where all the choices led us. And I've come to peace about that. I'm okay. I wish you well. Stuff like that. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy? We have the Five of Wands and the Magician, and the reason is because of the Two of Swords and the World. So, because the high vibe people were inspired to get justice, and they were willing to deal with the truth because they wanted to close out a cycle in the World card. And the Two of Swords can talk about feeling stuck. I don't want to keep feeling stuck, and I don't want to be in a relationship with other people who want. The Two of Swords can also be, I don't want to see the truth. I don't want to stay in a relationship with people who don't want to see the truth. And so I need to see the truth. Because otherwise it keeps me stuck, and I want to stop and close out a cycle of feeling stuck. So the high vibe people decided to listen to their intuition, and they offered love to the situation, to be in an energy of love so they could accept everybody is where they're at, and to love themselves, believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, accept that, if they're the people in their life who are working together with them in a just and fair way, in relationships with them for the right reasons, they're going to keep moving forward with those people. The people in their life who they think, I don't know that we're in it for the right reasons. Some people might even want to just take time to retreat to really get clear about what they think. But because they wanted to get unstuck, they offered truth and love to people to work together with them. Some people did, some people didn't. It helped them get clear about who was willing to work with them more cooperatively, who weren't. And by offering them self-love and to themselves, they changed in the Five of Wands. And from the Three of Wands to the Five of Wands, kind of, and the One Wand to the Five of Wands, they let go of an old dream of the Two of Wands, and they are taking inspired action in their foundation to invest in truth and love to manifest their dreams into reality. I can only have my dream come into reality with people who are invested in truth and love. And the people in my life who aren't willing to work with me cooperatively in a more just and fair way, or they're investing in other people, or blah, 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 then I see the truth of it. I wish them peace. And I see my dream can't come into reality there. And I'm going to start putting in work and effort to manifest my new dream. And invest in things that are part of my dream. And if there isn't currently someone in my life like a romantic interest, there's other parts to my dream. My career, my friends, my family, things I enjoy doing, whatever, growing and maturing yourself to become the person you want to be in a relationship with other people, and investing of more time and energy into other people who are inspired, who've changed, who are less about the ego and the image or the indulgence, and at whatever phase of life, who want to manifest something new. And I think as you do that and you're in that energy, other people see that they know you could take action more out of pride or ego or lust or greed, and they see you're not doing it. They know you could go indulge in things to make yourself feel better. But the devil lies, and it's just short-term gratification. And you've grown up. I don't want to do things for short-term gratification, and it just kind of drives my life off into the ditch. So I'm going to stay focused on letting love and intuition guide the action that I take. And that's how I'm going to manifest a new beginning. And you close out an old cycle. The people who don't want to see the truth, the people who don't want to grow or mature, I wish you peace while you repeat that old cycle. I've been there and I've done it, and I don't want to repeat it. So I wish you peace, and I'm moving on. And you're going to have this new beginning aligned with the truth of who you are now. And your truth is different than some other people's truth. They're still viewing life maybe a way you used to view life a year ago or 5 years ago or whatever. And they're going to repeat that pattern. And they'll keep repeating it, because the truth sets us free to, when we learn the lesson, we get to go to like the next phase of life. Some of them will never learn it. And some of them have no interest. But I think there's going to be other people that you meet that have went through similar situations, and they see that you're kind of not like some other people, or acting or behaving or like some other people, and they would be willing to get to know you, and you will listen to your intuition about who's who. And the pages, again, can just talk about being friends with people to get to know them while you listen to your intuition. And if your intuition tells you, no, I think they're more interested in for these reasons, then I wish you peace, and I keep believing in myself and believing in my dreams. And they'll go try to find someone maybe who will more indulge them in relationships. Like, that's fine. It can be someone else. Now, the shadowy people have decided they want what they want. If that's to get in a relationship to get what they want, get in a relationship with someone else who has the things that they want, or to get out of some relationship they're in because they want to go indulge themselves. And those people are going to be out looking for new people to get in relationships with. And while the shadowy people could leave behind some loving people, that's the thing with everybody that we kind of meet. They're either kind of more aligned with the shadowy side or the high vibe side, and it's for us to listen to our intuition and get to know them to see which ones that we run into or approach us, who are the high vibe people and who aren't. So what's coming up for the people who harness some shadowy Capricorn that they don't see coming? The Ace of Swords in reverse. Why? Because of the King of Cups. So, well, for one thing, I think they've probably had people in their life trying to work with them from love. But eventually the high vibe people see that they don't really want to do love. And so the more high vibrational people in their life finally are willing to see the truth that they were not previously willing to see. And eventually those people, out of love for themselves, decide to work with people who they think are more aligned with truth and love. And the more shadowy people will be mad that some other people, trying to snag a loving person and trap them in a relationship with them, always mad that those people listen to their intuition and love and believe in themselves not to stay in a more codependent, immature, toxic, or abusive situation. And what they don't see coming is the people in their life, and they'll have new people come in their life, and the more high vibe people will leave. Eventually, the people who end up more staying in relationship with them long term are going to be other people who also probably don't have hope and faith and belief and love, who are more about indulging their more immature nature, aligning with their more worldly nature, and willing to indulge people in the world to have these certain things of the world. And that is people who harness, instead of harnessing high vibe Cancer, high vibe Capricorn, they harness a shadowy Cancer and Capricorn, where it's more about wearing a false mask, presenting themselves as a loving, mature person, and they're not. And they ultimately will probably end up in relationships with people who are like that too. And they might be upset because now they're having to indulge someone who they could find kind of immature and bossy or controlling or immature or defensive. You're supposed to love me. And they're like, no, you're supposed to love me. Well, I bring these things. I know. And I bring these things. And it can just be equally two people who are manipulating each other, who, even though they could be defensive, they don't want to get out of it because the other person's willing to stay in it. So then they're willing to stay in it. And they just keep repeating this pattern. And while they're doing that, other people changed. And they're maybe still trying to change other people. No, you're supposed to love me. No, you're supposed to love me. No, you're supposed to let me manipulate you. No, you're supposed to let me manipulate you. And maybe, or for some of them, they both view life the same way. They're both happy. They both get a high behind their ego. Neither one requires the other one to grow and mature themselves. And they're both happy because they have a certain status or image in the world. Isn't this a wonderful life we're living? And it's just kind of a more, they just didn't grow to their full potential like some other people. So it's just kind of what other people could view, regardless of how victorious and successful it looks. That is just a more immature, egoic, worldly based relationship that other people kind of see the truth of, but they think everybody thinks, oh no, we're just like those people over there that have these just and fair and balanced and loving relationships. And other people are like, yeah, no, we don't think this is love. We definitely think it's something else. And that's okay. You do you. We're going to listen to our intuition, and more of those people, the people who are more like that would probably hang around them, and some other people in their life might kind of distance themselves and move away from them and not really want to hang out with them, because I don't think it's real. I think it's all an illusion of trying to create an illusion about how wonderful and balanced and loving your life is, but we could think you're both immature, superficial people. And to each your own. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.